Today we are going to be planting these perennials in this location over here. I started these from seed a few weeks ago, and right now our temperatures are going down into the 30s at night, so we will have to provide them with some form of protection. I will show you how later on in the video. We will also be storing our dahlias for the winter. In the last video I shared with you the process of digging up the dahlias and cleaning them for storage and curing them. In this video, I will also be sharing with you how we will be storing our dahlias. So first, let's see what we have over here and get started on this area, and then we will move on to the dahlias. Right in this section over here, you see this beautiful plant is Delphinium. This is the Guardian Lavender Delphinium, if I'm correct, yes, and it grows 12 to 18 inches tall and, no, actually, this is apart. It grows about 3 feet tall, I believe, 2 to 3 feet tall. And this is Echinacea purpurea, and it grows 36 inches tall, and spacing is 8 to 12 inches apart. And right here, this is Gaura, Lingonberry, if that's how you pronounce it, and it grows 32 inches tall, and the spacing also is about 12 to 18 inches apart. If you are new here, we live in New Hampshire, zone 5B, 6A, and these are perennials that are all hardy to our area. And as I have mentioned earlier, it has been going down into the 30s, and we had several frosts already, so these will need some sort of protection because they are babies and I want them to develop their roots. Ideally, this is not the time you want to plant over here, but this is a really large area in here, and I would love to fill it up with plants to minimize the amounts of weeds that I have over here and the amounts of weeding that I would have to do. I originally was thinking of planting them in a different location, but I changed my mind and I decided to plant them over here so that I can kind of fill up this area, and the other area I have plans for it next season, and I will be sharing with you that next season, so stay tuned. So they all have very similar care guides when it comes to these plants. You see the Delphinium is a little bit on the yellow side, and I think that's just a little bit of overwatering. So all of these love to dry out between watering, and they do need water, of course. So they will need to stay moist, but they do want to dry out between watering, especially the Gaura over here, because it cannot handle super moist soil. And I think that this area over here is good in that way, and everything that I have planted over here has done well so far. So we're gonna see if these will do well over here, and I think the Delphinium especially is gonna look really beautiful in front of these Spartan junipers. Our temperatures are still kind of warmish during the day, and we will be having a couple days next week in the 70s, so that will be perfect for these plants, and hopefully they'll be able to put on some growth. So I will be protecting them in the evening and removing the protection off of them in the morning so that they don't fry, because I will be sort of creating a kind of a greenhouse over them, over the individual plants. So let's place these plants over here and get planting. I left my kneeling pad inside. We're gonna first start with the Delphinium. I'm gonna have to pull these plants up over here. These are black-eyed Susans. They seed themselves everywhere. I use them as a sort of a cover crop so that to minimize the amount of weeds I have, and they do work really well. I do think they're beautiful, but they do tend to get a lot of powdery mildew in our area. And they are super easy to pull, as you can see, except now that I said that, it doesn't want to get pulled. Oh, where's my, I have my Hori here to help me, my favorite tool. And I always leave links to the tools that I use and the fertilizers and everything in the description box below. I also have a promo code in the description box for Grow Organics. So a 20% off promo code, you can check it out. It's in the description box, and the link is in the description box as well. I think that's enough. Let's see. So I'm going to put them in a trio, and I have more than one plant in each of these. So they haven't set a lot of roots yet, the Delphinium, which is really is the time you want to transplant them if you are potting them up. But I decided to not keep them in the house, because if I wait any longer, I won't be able to plant them outside. So I'm gonna space them 12 inches apart from each other, like so. And I need one more. And we're gonna put 3 kind of between each of the spruce trees as far as I can go. And there, that looks good. And I also have some biotone over here. So we're gonna use some biotone to encourage root growth. And the Delphinium loves fertilizer. You can see that it was yellowed, I said earlier, from overwatering, so that's one thing. Also, lack of fertilizer can be one of those things that causes delphiniums to look yellow. So you want to make sure to give them plenty of fertilizer. Now, these are small, so I just need a little sprinkle in here, and then I will fertilize them again in the spring. Perfect. And I love this size for planting because it makes it so quick and easy. See a weed. Oops, I forgot to give it fertilizer. And this is an organic granule fertilizer. It's biotone. It helps with root growth, so it's not going to burn the plant by any means. If you do use synthetic fertilizer, then you have to be careful because you can burn your plants. These are babies still, so you don't want to over fertilize them. You might want to give them some water fertilizer and just cut down the amount of fertilizer you're giving them drastically so that you don't end up burning your plants, your babies. And I do hope you guys can hear me well because it's a really windy day, but that's the only day I can film, a Saturday. And the leaves are a perfect mulch. They're all planted. Let me take you around and show you where they all ended up. They are tiny, so you're not going to be able to see them really that well. But if you can see those green little things right there, those are the Gaura. I thought this will look very beautiful over here with this ethereal view. I have the, not tiger, what's it called? Zebra grass over there. And there is a what's it called? I forgot its name. Weeping something cedar, or I don't know. I'll look up the name and I'll put it on the screen. And right here, there's a grouping of some tall phlox. I think it will look pretty here. I'm not super sure about this location over here because I will be clearing up this area and I'm going to be adding some beautiful stuff in the coming up seasons. I'm not exactly sure when, but we can always move them if we don't like where they are. And then over here in front of the Spartan junipers, I planted some Echinacea purpurea starting from about right there, and I kind of created a drift going this way. I wanted it all to kind of be in an oval shape right here with that little arm sticking out, but I did not have enough echinaceas, and maybe next season I will plant some more and have that complete the vision that I had over here. I think those will also look very beautiful in here. And I have a little bit, I wish I had more delphiniums, but I did not. I guess the idea was I should have planted more. So I did not plant them exactly between every single between every two junipers. So I did space them apart a little bit because I did not have enough, and I planted 3 in front of each of the groupings. So I probably have 3 groupings. So one over here, and there's one standing on its own somewhere in here. I'm not exactly sure where. I'll find it eventually. And a couple here, I think, in this area, and over there, right there where we first started. So I think those are going to look gorgeous. I love Delphinium so much. Those are not the ones that grow super tall, but they will grow tall enough to kind of give a little bit of dramatic effect in here. I don't want them to grow taller than the junipers because they're still young and they need some time to grow. They grow about 18 inches tall, these junipers, and I do love them. They're beautiful. I have them staked at the moment because last winter the snow kind of flopped them over and they were all leaning. So this year I need to look into some sort of a method to protect them from the snow so that this does not happen. Right now, let me show you how we are going to be protecting these plants from the frost. Now, these are all hardy perennials, but because they are super young, I am nervous that the frost might take them because they haven't set their roots in here yet. I will have to water them in a little bit, but right now I just want to show you how we will be protecting them from the frost. Let me repeat the instructions because I thought I was recording and I forgot to hit the record button. So you can see this right here. This used to be a, let me take it out. Oh, this used to be an orange juice container. I just cut the top off with my shears over here, and then we just used the landscaping staples and we pierced them into the container right here so that they could act as an anchor. And I also poked holes in the top right here of the container to create ventilation so that the plant does not fry if early in the morning I forgot to take it off of it and it was hot in the morning. So we want to make sure we have ventilation. Also, this is going to allow rain to get through. But the idea is we want to protect them from the frost because these are still tender plants. They're very young and their roots have not been established yet. So these staples basically are just going to secure them into the ground so that this container does not fly away. Just like that. It's going to act as a greenhouse for our plants. For each individual plant, I'll be doing this for each individual plant, but I will only put it in the evening or if the weather is super cold and they haven't had the chance to root in yet. So this is basically our greenhouse right now. Let's go ahead and go take care of our dahlias. So I got some vermiculite over here. This needs to be moistened and we are going to be using this to preserve our dahlias for the winter. And unfortunately I did let my dahlias dry out a little bit too long. I left them the whole week. I was supposed to only leave them for a couple days, no more. And I did that because I wanted to do this process with you on camera, so hopefully they'll be okay. I mean, I've planted potatoes that looked like that and they were fine, so I think they'll be okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give this vermiculite a little more moisture than I would normally do, and this way it will allow these tubers to absorb some more moisture and kind of plump up a little bit because I did this mistake. I'm also going to cut off any excess stalks that we don't need because that's just going to take space in storage. So I have this tub right here that you would typically use for storing your fruits and vegetables like apples and potatoes and such, and onions. And I have this burlap right here. Now this is not the best burlap because it's really wide, the canvas on it, the holes. But that's all I have. We're going to line this container with this burlap. So windy today. I will check on them in maybe a week or less. I'm going to put a layer of vermiculite in here. And if I notice that the tubers are not plumping up yet, I may add a little more water if I notice that they do need it. I'm going to cut the excess stalks off because we don't need those. And I should have waited to put the name tag on until after I harvested the tubers, but that's okay. And this is too long right here. And you want to make sure that all the tubers you are storing are healthy, because disease can spread between the tubers that you're storing. Looks like there are multiple plants in here. Oh, well, you can see they're still there. They're not fully desiccated, so I think we'll be okay. Okay, so now I think that's enough for the first layer. I'm going to add some vermiculite, and we can start adding the next layer. I think I am going to end up with some unknowns, because I'm noticing that after I have let them dry, there were several plants in one clump, and now they're separating from each other. I'm really hoping that they will regain their moisture back. And this is our last layer. This looks really healthy. Which one is this? And then last layer of vermiculite. In a few days I will check on them just to make sure that they're all okay. I just want to make sure they are all covered with the vermiculite. We don't want any to dry out. There we go. Now we're just going to cover them, and they're all set. So this is it. I just need to clean up my mess now. The dahlias are stored and I feel good about it. I'm super excited for next season to see how these are going to do. Hopefully that we will be able to have all of them survive, even though I let them dry for the whole week. Oops, it's a rookie mistake on my part, but I really wanted you guys to see this process. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you again in the next video. And don't forget to check out the promo code in the description box below. Also, if you are new here and you like these types of videos, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell to receive notifications of whenever I upload new videos. Thank you guys so much for watching.